Okay, up next is Reinette King, and she's going to tell us about a coalition that's been put together to deal with this Vista Ridge. If you haven't noticed, your bill is skyrocketing, and I'm sure most of you have when you pay that water bill.
Thank you so much, Bob, for having us today. It's an honor to be here. First, I want to introduce my friend Stanley Mitchell, who's standing right here. He's part of this coalition. And Stan has an organization you really want to be part of. It's called San Antonio Making Bureaucracies Accountable. That's what we're all about. Well, as you know, coalitions are very helpful in getting things passed that cross political lines, such as the charter amendments. It was successful, so we have a coalition, and this is who we have in it right now. The Box Run Neighborhood Association and the Highland Park Neighborhood Association are some that I presented to you recently, a little shorter version than what I'm going to give you today. And on the spot, the members of those homes associations said, we're joining your coalition. So they voted right then and there on the spot. So any homes associations that you can get us into to speak, please do so. Any other organizations that you're part of, let us know. We'll be happy to speak to them as well. Now, what we're looking for is a fully independent audit of Vista Ridge, and I'm going to go over the details in case some of you are not familiar with Vista Ridge, and then there's been some new developments that might be some news to many of you today. But the key is we've got to have an audit. It's your money. There was $120 million that was lost, and it's unaccounted for. It appears that it's been rolled in. It's been rolled in on the backs of us ratepayers. So your water bill is really a form of a tax. So it's very appropriate that we talk about this today. We need for City Council to take ownership of SAWS. According to the city charter, it's their responsibility to oversee SAWS, but they've been just turning their head and ignoring what's going on. And these problems started back in 2014. CEO of SAWS, Robert Puente, rushed Vista Ridge through council. Initially, he was against it because he saw what it is. And then somebody changed his mind. And he changed his mind 180 degrees and said not only should we do it, but do it now. So he rushed city council, and they did not do their due diligence. So here are the facts. Stop me if you get dizzy. It's a $3.4 billion water pipeline, and it's slated for operation here in San Antonio, April 2020. The pipeline's built. They're already pumping some water through. They're testing it. And this Vista Ridge water impact fees of $87 million was waived by the last council. This is money that developers should have paid for new development that they want to build. We believe they're planning some big development between San Antonio and Austin and making you pay for it before anybody moves here from California or wherever that would have the money to pay the higher prices. So, it's sort of some backwards thinking. The contract states that if the Vista Ridge people are able to pump 50,000 acre-feet of water per year, we have to buy it, whether we can use it or not. And SAWS has already admitted that's way more water than we can possibly use. 15,000 acre-feet more than they say we can use. So why? What kind of contract was that? And they're picking an aquifer that doesn't ever recharge. Well, 100 years. I won't say it won't ever recharge, but it would take 100 years or more to recharge. So this leaves people with no water up in the Simsboro aquifer area. It just doesn't make any sense at all. So they're bringing in this more expensive Vista Ridge water for San Antonians to pay for, because you're pumping it uphill for 142 miles. Think of the electricity for the pumping. And then our cheaper, higher quality, pure Edwards aquifer, they're trying to sell that outside the zones. And they've been demanding even more than the 50,000 acre-feet they're already authorized to be pumping. So what's going on? And there's already a 52% water supply rate hike. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Our city council did us a great favor. They pre-approved rate increases for 3 years in advance. Isn't that great? So you're stuck with it, right? So there's this water supply rate. Now these are their figures. These are not my numbers. This is from SAW's information. The slide was very dim, so I wanted to recreate it so you could read it, hopefully. Yes, I could back this up a little more if you see a little better. Bring it up a little bit.
Other way, there you go.
Sorry, I haven't done one of these in quite a while, so it's hard to time it all right. So whatever the water supply rate means, and I've asked that question, the answer is I don't know, and SAWS wants it that way. So it's wherever they get water from, they're calling it the water supply rate. So it used to be that the increase on the water supply rate was only about, a few pennies, per year increase. And now this is a, $6.55 increase. However, that's just for what they call the average bill. And their figures are a little messed up. Doesn't surprise you, does it? So that actually, we have figures that show that last summer people actually used an average of 10,000 gallons a month. And that's a higher fee that they will pay. It's not a 9.9%, believe me, it's in the 20% range. So SAWS has said that the contract, is going to protect us, don't worry, that's why he rushed it through. Council said, these rates are locked in. Well, they're really not. It doesn't protect you at all. The wholesale water rates can be challenged by private interests involved in Vista Ridge, and they can be raised. If the Simsboro Aquifer is permanently damaged, SAWS can't even be sued. Does that make any sense to you at all?
No.
And SAWS told council, but like I said, that these rates were fixed over the 30-year life. That's not true. The Public Utility Commission of Texas can increase those rates given grounds, such as reductions in allowable pumping. Well, do you see a train wreck ready to happen here? Vista Ridge water is 5 to 6 times more expensive than our pure Edwards Aquifer water. And as I told you, the $120 million loan was taken out by Abengoa, the Spanish firm, which was the original private partner to purchase pipe. We warned them not to do that because it was a very bad financial deal, but they did it anyway. Abengoa went bankrupt as predicted. They did never purchase the pipe. They did never return our money. So this debt was rolled onto your back, Mr. Ratepayer, Mrs. Ratepayer. And the water leases for Vista Ridge demand an audit all by themselves because the person that gathered them is a man that was on probation at the time. He was gathering these water leases, and he had pled guilty for a $2.4 million theft. Do you think we need an audit?
Yes.
All right, that's why there's a petition on your table, and I urge you all to sign it. And in the far right-hand corner, or far right-hand column, even though it's very narrow, if you put your city council district, if you live in San Antonio City Council, and we appreciate you signing the petition. We're going to want to collect about 20,000 of those soon. One of the major problems we have is that SAWS, yes sir?
I don't live in the city, so I can't technically sign it, but I drink SAWS water.
Right,
Because
right.
it's supplied to us.
Go ahead and sign the petition, because this petition is not just for people that live in San Antonio. The people up in Burleson and Milam and Lee counties are all affected by this mess, and this is a regional problem. So go ahead and sign it. Call the governor, call your county commissioner, call your state senator, and call your state rep, call your county judge. Urge all of them to do a state audit. We're trying in San Antonio to get a city audit. We're not getting much progress. I think we might have better luck with a state audit, but we're going to try it from all angles. So we need your help wherever you live. So please sign the petition regardless. If you live in the county, you can just write county out there beside there, so we'll know you don't live in San Antonio. Scratch out San Antonio and put whatever city you live in, that'd be fine. So one of the problems is SAWS is positioning themselves as a regional water supplier, but they've never been authorized by our city council to do so. They've been setting themselves up outside, what their purview is, supposedly San Antonio water system. They've been lobbying the legislature to get permission to sell our pure Edwards Aquifer outside the zones. Fortunately, Governor Abbott vetoed House Bill 1806, but the battle is not over. Our councilman on District 9, John Courage, told us in confidence that he feels that SAWS is going to keep lobbying the legislature to keep trying to get that done. So the battle is not over. We really need your help in this fight. As you've probably heard, our CEO of SAWS, Robert Puente, is paid about 3 times more than the highest paid CEO in Texas. He gets about $600,000 a year. Does this sound like a deja vu of anybody here in San Antonio that got overpaid? That we didn't get to elect? And the SAWS chair, Berto Guerra, who's a strong supporter of Vista Ridge, has outstayed his term. According to the SAWS ordinance, you can only serve 2 terms, and Mr. Guerra's term ended May 31st, 2018. He's still chairing the meetings, and in fact, he voted for this 5% raise for CEO Puente and the $100,000 bonus. Does it sound like some backroom deals? Yeah. Reminds you of Scully, yes. Now, this might be a little hard to read, but San Antonio does have the highest water rates and the highest usage in the city. Let me see if I can. It's about as clear as it gets. One of the reasons that we're the highest user is because SAWS doesn't reward us for conserving water. If you irrigate your lawn, you turn off your irrigation, you use less water, you pay a higher rate. In other cities, they reward people for conserving water. But the reward you get for using less water in San Antonio is you get to pay for the people that use a lot of water. So it's kind of backwards. But anyway, we do have the highest rates in Texas, although your SAWS bill will tell you that you have the lowest rates. So. And SAWS has been increasing the bills by up to 9.9% supposedly for the average bill, which, as I told you, it's not exactly going to happen like that. And they're reducing the impact fees by 3%. Last summer, I already told you, 10,000 gallons per month was actually the average, not the 7,092, which is in the little red circle there that SAWS likes to use that number. It's kind of meaningless, really, because those that use 10,000 gallons of water, their water part of their bill is going up 22.9%, and if someone uses 30,000 gallons, their water part of their bill goes up 29%. So this 9% is not very accurate because there's going to be people that use more and people that use less. So who actually recommended that we lower the impact fees? You want to take a guess?
Developers.
That's right. The City Council established this CAC, which is the Capital Improvements Advisory Committee, and they made the requirement that 40% of the members must be developers. So 7 to 10 of the members represent the development and building industry. So how do you think they're going to vote? At your expense. So what can you do about it? If you live in San Antonio, call the mayor. There's a flyer I put out. We've got tons of flyers over there. I put a big stack on the table, and I have more if you need them. Yes. Call the mayor. Call your city council person. Urge them to move this Vista Ridge resolution. We wrote the resolution. We gave it to them in March. They've done nothing. We've been trying to set up meetings with our council people and speak with them. A few of them have just been avoiding us completely. We have gotten in to talk to a few, but we haven't found anybody with the guts to sponsor this resolution so far. We're still working on it, but urge them. The more phone calls they get, you're their voters, and they're more likely to listen to you than us. Urge that they move this Vista Ridge resolution now, and that they exercise proper oversight over SAWS. Whether you live in the city or out of the city, contact your county judge, county commissioner, the state rep, state senator. There's a website you can go to find out who represents you if you don't know. Governor Greg Abbott, there's his phone number. Please call the governor. He's been our helper. He's been on our side. Tell them you want an independent audit of Vista Ridge. Please sign the petition, regardless where you live. If you live in San Antonio, please put your city council district on the right margin. If you live outside, you can write county, whatever. Please distribute the flyers. I have stacks of those flyers. I have petitions, stacks of petitions also on the table there. Please get us on the calendar for your neighborhood association to speak. Thank you, Greg. He just had us over to Highland Park Neighborhood Association, and they voted on the spot to join the coalition. That means more. So when we go to talk to the SAWS Rate Advisory Committee, we update our slide of who we are, and we've got 2 neighborhood associations on there. It would be great to have 10 or 12 or 20. So please get us in to talk to your homes association. You might be part of a Bible study or another group, and get us on the calendar so we can speak. The League of Independent Voters just started a hotline, and this is not SAWS, this League of Independent Voters, that people can call and register their complaints about SAWS rates and affordability issues. So this would be something that could be documented, and then we could use this as we go. I also want to invite you to something that's not on the slides. November the 2nd, that's a Saturday at 3:30 in the afternoon at Trinity University Library in the coffee shop. The coalition is meeting. We'd love to have you. It's a free place to park on Saturdays, and the Coates Library has a coffee shop, and the Starbucks is closed that day, so there probably won't be any students in there, but we're welcome to be there at 3:30, so we're glad to have you. Yes?
Okay, how quickly are you trying to get these signatures done?
Well, we figure that if we don't get any action from our city council, that we will get it on the ballot. These are informal petitions. Then we would need to do the formal petitions where we need 20,000 signatures to get it on the ballot. Then the voters can say, we want an independent audit. We want an ordinance that requires oversight over SAWS. So that's our plan.
Is that 2 months, 3 months, how long?
I think it would be the November 20 election. You take some of these, or I hope you take a lot of these flyers with you. At the bottom is the League of Independent Voters Texas website. All the documents are there, the 10-page white paper that we put together that we presented to council with hot links to all of the backup data. We have engineering reports, we have factual data that is very important, so you can understand what we're all about. There's 2 phone numbers on here. The first one is mine. The second one is the overall League of Independent Voters of Texas. And so you get a lot of information there. If you want to go to that website, you can find out anything you want to know. These are both cell phones. If you need to text us, you can. So we appreciate your time. Are there any other questions?
Do you have a website?
The website is livtexas.org/vista-ridge. That is, the League of Independent Voters has been our sponsor.
Okay.
They're our sponsor. And we've got the website right there, how to contact any county judge in Texas through the Capitol.
Hello, my name is Eugenio Rodriguez, and I was on the SAWS Citizen Board, and that came up, Vista Ridge and desalinization. And the presentations they gave were very, what is it, like condensed, yes. Bullets, yes. So then, I had a lot of questions about Vista Ridge. The simplest question was, well, let me go with desalinization. The simplest question was, how much will it cost to change the filters? It took them 4 months to get me the answer. And only because Howard Peak, which was the chairman, said, you know what, Mr. Rodriguez has been asking a very simple question. How much does it cost? How long do the filters last from desalinization? And how much does it cost? And finally they got the answer because he stepped in. It's going to cost as much as the whole project. And we don't know if it's going to last a year or 2 years or how much. How long? Okay, so that was one. So that's out. The next one was Vista Ridge, or vice versa. With Vista Ridge, since I had been involved in water quality issues, the first thing I saw or looked up was the contamination along that river, So what it is, it's a river. So part of it, no, actually there was a legislative thing that came up in which a major company wanted or convinced some legislator that they could reduce the parts, they could increase the parts per million that would cause them to get in trouble. So let's say it's chlorine or whatever. You can only have, let's say 100 parts per million. Well, these guys were already reaching 90 parts per million. So they were requesting for Austin to increase the parts to, let's say, 200. Arbitrarily, no science involved or anything. So that stuck to the back of my mind. So I said, what are the contamination parts of this river system? Well, it's really clean in one part. You flow down, it gets kind of bad, then it gets good, then it gets bad, then it gets good. So I asked, where are we going to stick the straw? I said, no, sir, not a straw, it's a pipe. I know it's a pipe, but where are you going to stick the straw? And then they asked me, where'd you get the information? It's out there. Saws had it. I got it from Saws. So I was like, what the hell? So then the other thing that came up, by chance, I usually used to read the sporting page because of horse racing, but in that case it had something about, not sport, yeah, I think it was sport, fishing. It turns out that the state of Texas started buying back shrimping licenses. Okay? Now, the nuclear plant was going on, Vista Ridge was going on. So I said, why would the state of Texas be buying commercial shrimping licenses? And then I said, well, if the numbers of shrimps in the estuaries start going down, something's wrong. Well, here's the thing. With this Vista Ridge, we are messing around with the water flow. It's possible that the shrimps might go down. And if that does happen, we're not going to know because they bought so many shrimping licenses back. So my concern is just be aware that there's a lot of hidden things. Oh, and then it's not 50,000 gallons. It's going to be less because some other company stuck their straw first. Okay, so there's a lot of things, and I think it was more for fracking, but that's gone. But anyways,
Thanks for your information.
Thank you. Thank you very much. How many of you are going to help pass the word on Vista Ridge? Okay, great. If you need anything, I've got a lot of flyers here. I'll be around after the meeting. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Reinette. One thing, I don't know if Reinette mentioned it, but your SAWS bill is going to go up 10% effective January 1. 10% more. SAWS sent out a flyer. Most people don't read it, but it was in your water bill. They said that they've already raised it 77% in the last 4 years. But we were lucky because they claimed that City Council authorized a 114% rate hike. I've attended all those meetings, and I don't recall SAWS ever authorizing, or the City Council authorizing them 114%. But doesn't mean anything because a lot of that stuff is hidden from us. They don't talk about it in open meetings. So, yeah, more bad news on your SAWS bill.